It comes and goes in waves. This one's for the faithless, the ones that are surprised. They're only where they are now, regardless of their fight. This one's for believing, if only for its sake. Come on friends, get up now, love is to be made.
Okay, so if you watch my vlog, you've already heard my stories about this. It's week 18 here on the Men's Room, and we're talking about rude questions. Rude questions. Questions that we got for the week. What kind of bizarre or rude questions have you been asked by strangers, acquaintances, or friends in regards to your body, sexuality, or gender? How do you answer them? What advice do you give other trans guys for dealing with these questions? Alright. Well, I'm gonna kind of go with the three categories: strangers, acquaintances, and friends. In terms of strangers, I work at a car wash as a cashier. So I deal with people all day. Now, lately, the question I get the most, and I find that they're asking me because they think if they know the answer, then they'll know what gender I am. I get "how old are you?" a lot at work. Now, because work is sometimes kind of slow, I bring a book and I'll be reading, and people ask me if it's my summer reading. And I'm just like, no, I'm in college. I don't have summer reading. Like, it gets on my nerves. But people think if they know how old I am, they know what gender I am. It's not the case. Like, I tell them I'm 19, and they're like, oh. Like, oh, just because I'm 19 and don't have facial hair, like, that makes me a girl. Like, whatever. Well, one week, it was a Monday. It was a Monday. And this woman came in for a detail. Well, she comes in. This woman, it's this, I don't know, I guess I'd put her at like between 27 and 32. And she's about, I don't know, 5'8", 5'10", really attractive African woman. And you could really tell she was like high educated just by the way she spoke. And she's like, oh, I'm getting an interior detail, blah, blah, blah. It's $70. She pays with her credit card. And then, I don't know, they were almost done doing the interior, and she says, you know, I kind of want to bump it up to a full detail just so you can do the outside as well. So she pays the extra $50. Like, that's the difference between an interior and a full detail. So I charge her credit card $50. And so she comes back in after it's done or whatever, and she's like, it's not done right. I don't know. I paid all this money, and, you know, my car's still kind of dirty. And I was like, okay, well, you can talk to Johnny, my manager, and he'll take care of you. So he goes out, and he's inspecting the car, and he's like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't do this, and blah, 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 blah. Well, so he decides to give her a $20 refund, which means we have to cancel the $70 transaction and make it $50. Well, American Express doesn't let you charge the same amount for the same place twice. So we were having all this trouble, like, figuring out if the credit card went through and all this stuff. And, I don't know, I was talking to her for a good, like, 20 minutes. And I had already been on T, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks at this point. It wasn't last week, it was the week before, so it would have been 4 weeks. And so my voice, you know, is deep now. And she looks at me, and, like, I can see the wheels are turning, and she's just like, are you a boy or a girl? Like, flat out, no hesitation, none of that. And I was just like, I didn't know what to say. Like, this was probably the first time I've been asked that question since I was a little kid. So I just answered both. I was like, both. And she, like, was taken aback a bit, and then she left. But strangers, I find that strangers ask questions that go around the main question. So the main question is, are you a boy or girl? But see, I get, how old are you? Is that your summer reading? Where you go to school? All that kind of stuff. That kind of gives them, like, this age range. And then I don't really have any acquaintance kind of questions. But in terms of friends, I find that they have a lot of questions. But, like, with friends, it's a lot easier. I mean, they know the situation, they know who I am, and to be honest, I'm comfortable answering these questions. I get what's going to happen on T, because I was pre-T last time I saw most of my friends at school. And so what's going to happen on T? What surgeries do you plan for? What does top surgery involve? Question I get a lot, though, that I do find a bit awkward is the penis questions. Will T make you grow a dick? Or are you planning on having lower surgery? And then, how much does this cost? And blah, 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 blah. Now, if it's someone I'm comfortable answering that question, I'll answer. But I mean, one of my friends was asking me, like, do you use the men's bathroom? And I was like, well, I don't yet, but, once I start passing, I'm gonna have to. She was like, oh, well, will you pee standing up? Like, this had just bridged off of the dick questions. And I was like, yeah, well, we use this, it's called an STP, stand to pee. And she was, like, asking me what that entails, and, like, I was trying to explain it, and she was like, do you have one? I was like, yeah, I do. She was like, can I see it? Now, I'm not gonna go around showing someone my junk. Like, that's just weird. Questions come from people who aren't afraid of the topic, and although they might be kind of hesitant of the answer, it alleviates this kind of ignorance and this kind of, they don't have to be so, not skeptical, like, they don't have to form their own answers and come up with these crazy-ass answers that aren't true. Like, if you just answer the question, they know they can move on. And, so I find that answering the question is the best solution because, it kind of inhibits, ignorance towards the community. And it makes them more aware of what we go through. For someone, if someone asks you, can I ask you something? My response is, you can ask me whatever you want. If I don't feel comfortable answering, I'm not going to answer. I would much rather people ask questions than just kind of guess. So that's really my... Like, if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, don't talk about it. If the question's, not that big a deal, like, what does a binder look like? Or, some boring question. Then, I mean, you have to take it at your own stride. You have to, know your own limits in terms of what you're comfortable with saying and with what you're comfortable with answering. If you have questions that you want us to answer, message us, leave a comment, something. We need topics, guys. See you later.